Hello, Intactivists! In the news this week, we have Brohim, Foragin, Intact Global, Circumcision Law Reform, and much more coming up. In POTS news, the cyber ad campaign, we have reached about 1.10 million people. Hoodie by Nature, Darwin, Breaking the Cut, and of course, POTS is spearheading this campaign. And also a special thanks to our donors who support us, and also those who do the POTS e-commerce program and the Care Buzz. This all helps us out a lot to go ahead and fund such an important thing to go ahead and get the message out to people that circumcision is bad on social medias. Remember to join my Discord where you can go and volunteer on making Intactivism and POTS better. We have lots of jobs. Some are very easy and others are a little bit harder if you want to be more involved. All right, in the video special, Bloodstained Men is ruining Intactivism. I would watch that because what the Bloodstained Men did in the past week alone is why they may potentially be getting banned off of POTS. We are having a vote in the OnlyPants channel, so if you are a PANS member, please vote now or forever keep your peace. The vote ends October 30th, and we're not going to take something like this lightly, I promise you. But if you want to know why Bloodstained Men is under such scrutiny right now, definitely go ahead and watch that video. Terry is back on POTS with a one-parter interview. Guess what he ended up talking about? How the Bloodstained Men are making Intactivists look bad. And he also talked about some of his Intactivist efforts, like for instance with his church he went to and his pastor. So if you want to go ahead and hear that story, you definitely can as well. All right, and in circumcision law reform news, an update from the Middle States Commission of Higher Education and his case against the State University of New York at Stony Brook in relation to their circumcision residency program, or the curriculum they use to educate medical students. So this right here was the letter CLR was nice enough to give us. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you guys. You guys can definitely go ahead and read this. It's very short, but I will summarize it. They have received the institutional response from Sunny and concluded it is insufficient and have requested further information. CLR has also said this is the first US-based regulatory body I have encountered that has been willing to take action concerning education associated with the circumcision procedure. So this is a pretty major win for Intactivists. And also in CLR news, he has changed websites, which is super awesome. This is healthychildren.org. He got rid of the AAP statements and a lot of just wrong information about circumcision, which is really awesome. I'm actually going to just read what CLR said on this one because it is pretty accurate. You can read the Discord under Tactivist Updates, but you can pause the video once again and read this if you want. But here is an update to the AAP article published on October 10th, 2025 on the Healthy Children website, noting all the claims of benefits, including reduction of STIs, HIV, and cervical cancer and all that stuff right here in this corner. That has now all been removed, as you see here, because it was all a lie. In addition, concerning the claim, the benefits outweigh the risks, they very carefully state the choice to circumcise or not to circumcise is completely that of the parents, as circumcision is not necessary to have a healthy child. However, research shows that the medical benefits at least balance and may outweigh the risks. So that's much better than what they did put. Now, unfortunately, healthychildren.org, I don't think they actually really want healthy children, to be honest, because all what they did was they changed the source that they were using. They updated it from caring for your baby and young children, birth to age 5, 7th edition, copyright 2019, American Academy of Pediatrics. Now they're using the adapted from caring for your baby and young child, birth to age 5, 8th edition, copyright 2024, American Academy of Pediatrics. So now they're just moving up the edition. Is it a huge win? I would say that it is a moderate win for Intactivism. It's a little bit more neutral language. Of course, we'd like the healthychildren.org to condemn circumcision outright, but at least it's moving in the right direction. All right, and in Brohim news. So this is the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. This was released October 10th, 2025. Brahim kind of got mentioned a little bit in this. I didn't put it in last week's news because it's debatable, but it says a small movement aims to normalize eschewing circumcision among Jews, which, if you don't know what eschewing means, it means to refuse to use or participate in. So a small movement aims to normalize refusing to circumcise among Jews who have one of the highest circumcision rates of any demographic group in the country. If you go ahead and click this, it goes to Brahim. Brahim wants to see synagogues make proactive statements of welcome for non-circumcising families similar to those that have become common towards Jews of color and LGBT plus Jews. This was like 4 years ago, back in 2021, October 7th. So Brahim kind of made the news a little bit in the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. All right, now this is not Brahim news. This is actually Max Buckler made an awesome contribution to Intactivism. And if you're thinking that Max Buckler is of Brahim and this is a Brahim thing, it's actually not, even though Max Buckler is indeed in the leadership of Brahim right here. You can go ahead and see that he is a bioethicist research and that this awesome as controversies mount circumcision policies need a rethink. So this does come from Max Buckler, the exact same from Brahim. It's a really good read. I definitely recommend you guys go ahead and read this on your own time. This is really awesome. And every Intactivist group, for the most part, weighed into it. And we're going to go ahead and cover that now. But once again, guys, definitely go ahead and read this PDF. Very important on your own time. It's just too long for POTS. It's like, I would say, like 10 pages long. So, Brahim, this is their statement on the paper. Buckler is an independent researcher who serves in an advisory capacity on the leadership team of Brahim, a national nonprofit that advocates for the inclusion of non-circumcising Jews in Jewish life and educates about the rich diversity of Jewish perspectives on circumcision and its alternatives. Buckler's research was not sponsored by Brahim, nor was Brahim involved in his publications. So, once again, guys, this is not a Brahim thing. I thought it was. I made that mistake whenever I talked about the Brahim a little bit in the Bloodstained Men is Ruining Intactivism video. Brahim did not have anything to do with this amazing interview or paper, but it does say Brahim values Buckler's important contribution, especially because Jews who abstain from circumcision may face stigma within their own community and are often portrayed as being at odds with medical consensus. Such framing reinforces the perception that those who choose not to circumcise are disregarding sound medical advice, when in fact the landscape is far more complex, said Brahim's executive director and co-founder, Rebecca Wald. Now this would be perfect if she ended here, but she continues. Wald further stated, Brahim doesn't take the position that those who choose to circumcise for religious reasons should be prohibited from doing so. So essentially, Rebecca Wald is saying that if you want to circumcise your kid for religious reasons, go for it. But we do feel that all parents, regardless of their choice, deserve access to the most up-to-date, clear, and accurate information. So Rebecca Wald is clearly a GAR, which is genital autonomy religious exempted. If you're really mad at Rebecca Wald, it's probably because you're up on one of these 3 tiers. Probably why she makes you so mad. And then Lisa Braver Moss, Brahim's president and co-founder, added, for many Jewish families, trust in medical institutions is central, but when the AAP's statement blurs the line between medical recommendation and cultural commendation, it leaves parents questioning whether circumcision is truly in their child's best medical interest or merely permitted for religious reasons. And even Forgin weighed in on this. So Forgin said Buckler concludes that public guidance on circumcision is deeply muddled because the authors are influenced by cultural norms rather than adhering strictly to science and sound bioethical principles. And this says, this touches at the heart of our mission. Listen up to this because I know there's lots of Forgin haters that aren't going to like this. But if we read paragraph 2, I'm going to move me so you guys can go ahead and see this. Forgin's work is not only about reversing harm for those affected, but also about advocating for a future where fewer infants are subjected to this needless and harmful surgery. We want to alleviate the harms of the past while also preventing more harm in the future. I know lots of people make the argument that Forgin wants circumcision to continue, but that's definitely not true. They just said that there. And remember, guys, Forgin is not an activist organization and has no legislative or political agenda. Just so you guys know, they're not an activist organization. I just think that's kind of interesting that they're not an activist organization, but yet they commented on an activist document and interview. But Gaudath, bodily integrity. Okay, so this is written by Troy. Bodily integrity advocates, which is super wrong. I would not classify Tim Hammond as a bodily integrity advocate. He might be a bodily autonomy advocate for sure, not bodily integrity. I think Troy needs to look up the difference between those two. He should be watching POTS and learning what the difference is. But such as Tim Hammond, executive director of Gaudath, applauded Buckler's article. Gaudath is a nonprofit organization working with attorneys. Skipping this, Hammond emphasized, from an ethical and legal perspective, medically unnecessary surgery, even when performed to the standard of care and without immediate complications, still constitutes harm. It violates physicians' duties under the Hippocratic Oath they take to do no harm. He added, physicians do not take an oath to act as the agent of social or cultural customs. It's time for ethical physicians to find the courage to refuse to perform these genital surgeries and to let the law deal with the remaining physicians who insist on harming children in this way. And in Intact Global news. So, pretty awesome news for Intact Global. It says, we prevailed today in the first hearing of the historic Hadashak versus Oregon case. The court ruled in our favor. Our case can proceed. This is a monumental step forward for human rights and children's rights and bodily autonomy. But make no mistake, our fight continues. Every person standing with us is helping shape history together. We're proving that truth and justice will not be silenced. And guess who reposted this? Surprisingly enough, Forgin actually went ahead and reposted this. Huge congratulations to Intact Global on their win in the first hearing of the Hadashak versus Oregon case. The case proceeds. Guys, this is what I find pretty interesting about all of this with Forgin congratulating them. I don't know if you guys remember about that video I made with circumcision is a fraud, but all of Forgin's members, for the most part, are from circumcision is a fraud. And they just went ahead and dropped the court case recently. But here is Ryan Jones right here with circumcision is a fraud. So the last court case for circumcision is a fraud was 2022. Okay, and the Levine versus AAP, that was filed February 5th, 2021. So it's just very interesting that the board of Forgin is, congratulating essentially Intact Global because it's kind of like a baton pass, which I'm not saying is a bad thing at all. I'm just saying that it's really hard for people to say, oh, Forgin doesn't care, when Forgin members essentially went ahead and tried to sue the AAP, and now Eric Klopper from Intact Global is trying to sue Oregon. So I think that's pretty cool if you know the history between Forgin members and them doing court cases, and now them congratulating Intact Global on them continuing the court case. But once again, guys, Forgin, that they're not a legislative or have any political agenda, and they're not an activist organization. Just remember that, guys. All right, guys, and on to the Intactivist calendar for the week. So, No Circuit Michigan, in about 10 days from now, they have their Michigan State Medical Society annual conference on bioethics, Saturday, November 8th, from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., Doubletree by Hilton, 3600 Plymouth Road, Ann Arbor, Michigan is where they're at. So if you want to go and see them, you definitely can, and they might let you help them. I'm not sure, but definitely go and visit them if you want. All right, Your Whole Baby says, we need your help to bring Your Whole Baby to the Prevail Expo in Los Angeles. It says they are just 3 weeks left to make this happen. So I'm not sure when this begins, but it's going to be sometime in November, maybe December, but Your Whole Baby is going to the Prevail Expo in Los Angeles, potentially. So that's a potential that they may go. And the Bloodstained Men. This might be the last week we cover this, guys, so pay attention. Their 2026 Super Bowl circumcision crisis protest is from February 3rd through February 9th. If you're in the California area, this is mostly in San Francisco, some in Berkeley, California, and one in Santa Clara. If you're in those areas, you could go ahead and see them if you want, but the locations for the most part are to be determined. All right, and on to the polls of the week. So this poll was a close one. Okay. Should this be on the Intactivist fundraisers on POTS? This is the A Day Solomon's Urgent Medical Needs GoFundMe. This was very close, guys. 7 voted yes, he's an Intactivist in need. This counts as an Intactivist fundraiser. This was very closely followed to B, which it should only be mentioned one time. And then C, there are some people that says it should not be mentioned at all. This isn't directly Intactivism related. We are about saving babies and reducing circumcision. So, guys, when I say your votes do matter, they definitely do matter. So, definitely go and vote when you get the chance. Join our Discord because you do affect the channel for sure and what we cover. And on to the fundraisers of the week. All right, and speaking of A Day, his fundraiser actually raised $20 last week, so he's at $302 raised out of his $2,400 goal, so he's about 13% of the way there to cover his medical needs. And we have Intactivism Equal Protection pursued in court right now. This is Eric Anderson's fundraiser. He has no new donations. He is still at 3% about of his $4,000 goal with only $100 raised. Hoodie by Nature. Support Hoodie by Nature's fundraiser. Has no new donations this week, but he is at $1,150 raised out of his $1,600 goal. So he's about 72% of the way there. And you have Your Whole Baby's LA Prego Expo booth. They have no new donations this week. They are at $1,100 raised out of their $4,500 goal. So about 25% of the way there. Health Equality Campaign fundraiser. Critical call to support nationwide male bodily autonomy. They're still at about 8.5% of their $100,000 goal. No new donations this week. And End Circumcision Support Gender Autonomy for All at Pride. They are at $1,190 raised out of their $1,500 goal, which is 80% of the way there. But they haven't had any new donations in the past 3 months. So I might get rid of this fundraiser because it's been quite dead for a while. All right, GAUDAF. Their Circumcision is Not Healthcare fundraiser. They have raised $1,201. No new donations for like the past month on this. This is for their Phase 3 goal of $35,000. All right, support Intact Global's fight against genital mutilation. These guys have skyrocketed. Eric Klopper has raised a lot in the past week. They've actually raised well over $5,000. I'll go ahead and do the math on this. And actually, Dr. Pecker, go ahead and tell people how much Intact Global raised. He's a very smart chick. He got you. And he'll go ahead and add all this up for you. But either way, they are super close to their $50,000 goal. They just need about 5% to get there. They're at $47,381. And their donor box, Intact Global Oregon litigation effort, they're at $410 out of their $30,000 goal raised there. So if you add these two together, they are very close. They're at like 96% of the way there. Okay, Prevail over the system. We are at 29% of our $15,000 goal. This is the cost of running POTS in a year. If we don't make our $15,000 goal, it's not the biggest deal, but I do appreciate you guys donating. And also, guys, you can also help us through the POTS e-commerce program and the Care Buzz, which is both free for you guys to go ahead and do. So if you guys do that, we definitely appreciate it, and we'll update this at the end of the month. All right, and on to the Intactivist growth for the week. So last week, POTS was at 1,141 followers on X. And this week, POTS is at 1,222 followers, or an 81-person gain, which is a 7.10% increase for the week-over-week growth. This is an awesome increase in followers. Also, guys, don't forget to follow me on X if you haven't, because that really does help. Alright guys, but that's all I have for the news. Don't forget about watching Bloodstained Men Are Ruining Intactivism and also Terry's brand new complete interview. Please like and share to get this out to more people, and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye!
Prevail over the system. We rise through precision. Uplift transition.